All right, everybody. Just want to cover a controversial trade that was made today. At least some people feel this one might have been a controversial trade. It was between the Yaks and Hertz Donut. Of course, we all know that AJ Nardi, the owner of Hertz Donut, has been to three straight Super Bowls, and I believe he has won back-to-back Super Bowls in this league. So I can understand why a lot of people would feel challenged by him. He is a good owner, and he's shown, his track record shows that he's a decent owner. Meanwhile, you've got the Yaks. They have not made the playoffs in years in this league. So a lot of things that Fritz might do could alarm people. I don't know. But the deal was basically Fritz sent LADD McCONKEY and Joe Burrow over to Hertz Donut in exchange for CHUBBA Hubbard, the running back from the Carolina Panthers, and DAK Prescott, the starting quarterback for the Cowboys. Now, based on just what's going on this season, how these guys are performing, it would appear that the Yaks got the upper hand. They got DAK Prescott, who is a healthy quarterback, will be able to produce for them. And let's just take a quick look at the roster here for the Yaks at quarterback. You've got Daniel Jones, who's playing well right now for the Colts, but there's no guarantee that that's going to continue. Dak Prescott steps in as their number two quarterback right now. Trevor Lawrence is on a pretty poor team there with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's not producing. Brock Purdy, of course, finally got hurt. We've been expecting this to happen for a long time. Maybe this is the beginning of an injury period for Brock Purdy. And also you can see down here that the Yaks picked up Jake Browning, which is the natural backup to Joe Burrow. So they still have the starting quarterback for the Bengals. And they traded away the franchise player who is Joe Burrow. Now, let's just point out the fact that Joe Burrow has been experiencing injuries over the past couple of seasons. He has been a problem staying healthy, and this is the NFL. It's a very physical league, and just because a guy has all the talent in the world does not necessarily mean that he's got the toughness or the luck or a combination of the two to continue or to be that, to live up to that talent. So I can see where this is a reasonable deal in that respect. Joe Burrow has shown himself to be injury prone. Maybe the decision was made by Fritz here to go with a guy who is year in and year out proven to be pretty healthy quarterback in Dak Prescott. And we know that quarterbacks can last a long time in this league if they've got the offensive line protection. Daniel Jones, once again, is no guarantee to keep putting up these kinds of numbers. He's averaging 12 points a game. I just don't see it coming, even though I am a Daniel Jones fan, and perhaps he's finally found the situation that works for him. I've been waiting for that guy to break out for a long time. Now, the other player that the Yaks acquired in this trade was CHUBBA Hubbard, who is the starting running back for the Carolina Panthers. I believe he might be running back two. Let's just take a quick look here. He is currently running back one. He's not that old. He's only in his fifth year in the league. And I've always been a fan of CHUBBA Hubbard. Back when he was at Oklahoma State, I watched a lot of highlights on this guy, and he was always busting out big runs. He finally achieved starter level status with the Carolina Panthers, and right now he's getting it done. He has 8 points on the season, and let's just take a look at his game log here. He had 4 fantasy points in week 1. He had 4 fantasy points in week 2. I mean, there's nothing not to like here. He's had some touchdowns on the season. He's proven himself to be a dual threat in the offense. He runs the ball. He is a good receiver. I mean, he's a decent running back. I can see where people doubt CHUBBA Hubbard because he doesn't have that, that status, that big name status. I get that. And he's being traded for a guy who was a number 2 draft pick last year in the NFL draft, LADD McCONKEY of the Chargers. LADD McCONKEY has a great quarterback throwing to him and Justin Herbert, but bear with me as I make a little comparison here. Talk a little bit about the players that the Donuts got in this one, Hertz Donut. That's AJ Nardi's team. We talked about the success of AJ before. Okay, so look, AJ gets LADD McCONKEY in this deal. LADD McCONKEY obviously right away becomes their number 2 receiver as of week 2. Now, we've only gotten through 2 weeks of football. They got a Dunce as their lead guy. He's going off right now, averaging 6 points. Who knows if that can last? McCONKEY at 3.5. Now that's kind of pedestrian numbers in a league like this where there's only 8 teams. So Ladd McConkey is 6 foot 185. That's something I point out. That he's already got an injury problem here, and if I'm not mistaken, it might be a toe injury, which can be a bad thing. No, it's a biceps. Okay, that's fine. Physical game though. You need to be completely healthy in the NFL. If you're not like a superstar stud, you need to be pretty healthy in this league to dominate still if you have an injury. And there are some examples of players like that. I can't say that Ladd McConkey is such a guy. Let's also look at Ladd McConkey's past performance. Right here, you got Ladd going for about 70 points last year. Very impressive season, actually, 1,149 yards. Now, I get it. That's a great season right there. And he was targeted 112 times. Let's do the math on that one. He caught 82 of those. 82 divided by 112. He's catching about 73% of the targets. There's no doubt about it. Ladd McConkey looks very impressive. And I can see where this would be a questionable deal. What I look at is possibly the injury factor. Let's use an example. Cooper Kupp 3 years ago, after that like all-time great season he had, Cooper Kupp was going like top 3 in many fantasy drafts the following year, and we all know that his production went straight off a cliff. Now, the argument against that is that, Cooper Kupp was a much older player than McConkey, but let's face it, Kupp is now in his 8th or 9th season, I think his 9th year. So coming off of that season, that was only his 6th year, and he had that big year. Nobody saw that coming. What I'm trying to point out here is nobody really can say with these players. It's the NFL. People get hurt. You got Justin Herbert throwing to Ladd McConkey, but Herbert has an injury history as well. Who's to say that Justin can stay healthy this year? The guy looks really impressive physically. 6'5", he can run, but Herbert has gotten hurt in the past. Nobody really knows, and that's the thing that really sucks about all this. You can't say. It's the NFL from any given Sunday, as they say. I really don't want to play like dictator or a godlike figure in this thing. I'm the commissioner, but I'm not comfortable with saying this trade's good, that trade's bad. I'm not comfortable with that. I would rather you guys discuss it as a group in text, in chat, these trades. I think text is the better option because people are using that instead of using the group chat at the league site. We seem to communicate better through text. So I say we do that and we talk this out. Now, this trade could be altered. I mean, we could force maybe, if there's more people that are against it, we could maybe force these teams to add a little bit to this trade. Maybe some more players, maybe some draft picks get involved here. Nothing is etched in stone. If somebody's got a problem with the trade, I think that we should talk that out and make everybody happy or at least satisfied. And then we'll let time tell whether or not, it was the right decision. The trade was good or bad. That'll be the best indicator of whether or not this was a good deal down the line. Now, of course, if, say, AJ comes out on top of this one and he's suddenly going to every Super Bowl, yeah, there's going to be a lot of controversy over that. And Mark Jones is going to be able to say, I told you so. And I can see where he's coming from. A lot of people are considering Ladd McConkey to be like a top dynasty player. But what I will point out is that a lot of people are wrong most of the time. As a stock trader and reading a lot of investment books, I have found that people are just wrong a lot of times. Something that looks good today, might look great today. You buy into it, and then it just doesn't work out the way you want. And it seems like that happens more often than not. However, on the other hand, I could see this one working out very well for AJ, especially in terms of Ladd McConkey. If he becomes an elite wide receiver in this league, that's something of value. As far as Joe Burrow is concerned, I think quarterback has never been really a valued position in fantasy football because a lot of quarterbacks are kind of jumbled up there in that top 5, top 6. They all kind of score about the same amount of points from one week to the next. You don't really know what you're going to get from a guy. I have Patrick Mahomes on my team, and from one week to the next, it's hard to say sometimes whether or not I should start him. I tend to start him because he is a veteran, and over the long haul, he does seem to come out with the good averages. He might have a down year, but I'd say that's all the better for the season after that, because a guy like Mahomes is bound to recover from a bad season. I think he's probably going to have a good year this year for that reason. But I'm totally going astray on the point here. The point is, quarterbacks aren't as valued. I think wide receivers are definitely kind of risen to top value in fantasy football over the position of running back, which used to be the number one position people drafted at early in drafts. It's kind of shifted because of the passing style of the NFL. So when a big name receiver, a guy with a lot of potential, and let's not forget he's young, Ladd McCONKEY, is only in his second year. Everybody loves young players because everybody wants to lock in that guy who's going to give you that great play for 3 to 5 years. I get that too. This is a controversial trade. There is no doubt about it. And I think we should talk it over. I know I just checked the text, and it seems like the Bearbackers, Denny Copeland, is in favor of the deal. He doesn't have a problem with it. Personally, I'm kind of neutral. I think I've made my point in this little talk. So I want to leave it up to you guys to kind of talk this out. I'm going to not vote hey or nay on this one, really. I'm neutral, but I want to hear from you guys in text whether you think this is a good one. So I'm talking to guys like Lance. I'm talking to guys like Pete. I know Fritz doesn't use text, but I want you all to kind of weigh in on this thing so that we can work it out and make sure that everybody's happy. I really value Mark's opinion. He's been with me in my fantasy leagues as long as I've been running him, and I have a lot of respect for the guy. I know he knows his stuff, and I just want everybody to feel comfortable with any deal that we make in this league. Okay, that's all I've got for today. I'll talk to you all soon.